Good day and welcome to the Power Up. I'm your host, Tami Hill Thomas. Glad that you're joining us today as we consider perspective, local, purpose, news across the world, as we grow each other individually so that we can be better collectively. Here in the Power Up, our team's mission is totally to help us be one better race. That's the human race. So we consider those who are our family, brothers, and sisters across the water, up the street, and even in our homes. So let's get busy. We want to bring today some thoughts about the global unemployment rate, the impact of job loss since the pandemic. Oftentimes, we only think when it hits us personally, and we struggle with our bills. We struggle with where we are. We might even struggle with how we move forward in life to make sure that we're able to do all that's in front of us. Well, today at the Power Up, we want to remind you that while statistics might be poor, might impact your community, even your household, there are things that can help you sustain life throughout it. So, first, let's share some global news because it is intentional that we want to bring statistics and facts to you on the Power Up. Globally, the unemployment rate in the world decreased by 0.4% in the 2022 comparisons to previous years. So the global decline has gone down. I think an overall 5.7% was the last that we heard. Now, that includes all countries. The impacts of an average means those who didn't experience any and those who might have experienced excessive. So, overall, globally, the world has seen a slight decrease. So, what can you do where you are? If you're in the American states, my brothers and sisters in the United States, we understand you also might be impacted by unemployment. And while the rates for the United States might not fare too much better, we want to again bring you factual information. So the unemployment rates in the United States average at the same 5.7 globally. Sadly, though, there's been an increase since, can you imagine, April 2020. That was right after the pandemic was declared, and many businesses started to suffer. So while globally there is an impact in those who are seeking life, seeking new ways to provide food for their families, pay utility bills, even keep a roof over their head, we also consider those on a national level who are experiencing the unemployment rate here in the United States. Now, unemployment is not an easy topic to discuss. No one wants to think about individuals who are going hungry or homeless, right? The fact that the impact is so great can oftentimes cause severe trauma. So let's help. Let's bring you not just the statistics that there might be a slight increase in America, a global decrease, but there's still unemployment. Let's talk about how you can walk away from today's show better. We want to give you some tips on how you can be better if you're experiencing unemployment right now. So first, we want to offer some thoughts that can help you emotionally. Now, I don't know about you, but job loss is not easy, right? Knowing that that check might not come and now you've got to go through interviewing again and finding a new career. And there were many due to the pandemic who lost their restaurants, their companies, what they put time into build. And that's globally, not just here in America. Many across the world lost businesses. And how do we function? We're going to talk about. One of the first things that mental health professionals recommend is to allow yourself time to adjust. The very first tip is to accept reality and understand that there is a forward in front of you. Where you are is not permanent. If you got a job before, you can get a job again. And sometimes for those of us in the faith community, we believe that God might have just gave you that eviction notice or that pink slip to get you out of a career you hated anyway, to propel you into what you're supposed to be doing, what you were designed for. Let me make it a little more simple. Let's say you hate your job every day. Just, I never wanted to be a teacher. I don't really like kids. Or being a garbage collector wasn't my thing. Environmental safety, I don't care about. I want to be a chef. I love cooking. So I'm the one that cooks everything at home. I do all the grilling. That's my thing. I love it day and night. I'm cutting chicken or I'm basting my meats. I'm marinating out the wazoo. But my job, I only do that because I got to pay bills. Doesn't give me any happiness. I share this perspective because there's oftentimes a blessing in the storm. And could it be that your shift is intentional so that it can propel you and push you? It can offer you that door you were scared to go through. Maybe you thought about leaving and never did. Well, the struggle is over for that decision. However, all of the effort you put into what you love, you can put into living the job you love. Consider how accepting reality is important. Well, you can't make a job hire you, keep you, especially when there's so many businesses that sadly have had to have massive layoffs globally. So not just the factory up the street, not just the entity you've been working with for years. And yeah, many of us 20 years state plan to retire from that company just to get that pink slip. How do you make it in that moment? Well, avoid beating yourself up about it is a key mental health tip. You know why that's important? Because you didn't do this to yourself. You didn't say, I hate this job, I'm leaving it. The job gave you the pink slip. Your unemployment place is because you were laid off. Now, let's say it's the latter. Let's say you did say, I hate this job, I'm leaving. Well, if that's the decision you felt in the moment, then embrace the moment and go forth with just as much passion. The message of this segment is to remind you that while a situation might push you into something that doesn't feel good, it doesn't mean it's the end. Unemployment is a temporary space. Unemployment is a temporary space. The same effort you put into getting that job initially, there's bigger and better jobs out there now, especially for folks who've been doing the same thing for a long time. I was helping an individual a few months back who had been working on her job for over 30 years. She was a receptionist. 30 years. So when we started applying for new jobs, I had to remind her that the typewriter isn't really a thing anymore. Carbon copy papers, where you're typing on it and there's a duplicate and the little sheet in the middle, that's not how things are done. Things have changed. Technology has changed. So in this moment of change, find the silver lining that will sustain you into saying, well, I know there's better for me. It's not meant for me to be on this earth and suffer. There's greater ahead. So what I have to do now is put my everything into what's in front of me. Got to start over again and update a resume. Let me get with a career coach. Let me start learning some different programs, see what's out here that I can get certified in. So when I go to the new position, when I interview for the new position, I elevate above the others who are interviewing for the same. And when I'm there during that interview, it makes them want me more because I'm speaking the lingo, the current language. Understanding trends is very important when you're in an unemployment situation. You've got to become knowledgeable about what's happening with that company, with that area you want to work in, and make yourself the viable best option. Sadly, there are many competing for the exact same job. But what's great about you is what they will find out once they see your resume and then once you sit in front of them. But how about put all of that into the job, the career, the professional area that you want? And I want to remind folks who are listening to this segment that your unemployment situation might also be a clear message that maybe you need to work for you. You grilling all the time, you cooking all the time, you're the one that loves doing all of this. How about start your own catering business? Uh-huh. I have a friend who during the pandemic just started baking cakes. Cakes were amazing. And he also had a barbershop, but during the pandemic, his barbershop shut down. His cakes is what sustained him through the barbershop, through the pandemic. What he ended up doing out of his house, just because he loved baking cakes, and every now and then somebody say, "Can I have a Bobby cake?" And he would just make cakes, turned into being a thing that sustained him. Family, wouldn't you love to do what you love every single day? I'm not downplaying the fact that unemployment is a bad feeling. It takes a mental toll. My goodness, could even take a physical toll. What we want to prepare you with at the Power Up is the reminder that all the winning in you didn't stop because of the situation. Consider what you need to do to start over, start new. And isn't that a good thing? How many people in life feel stuck? And you get a brand new beginning? Man, there are folks who move to other cities and decide, I'm going to take a job and an opportunity to live out west. That's where I've always wanted to live. I want to try this job for 5 years and see if living in up north is going to be better. Why not? If you have an opportunity for a new beginning, now you can stay in the old. You can decide you're going to stay in the regret, in the hurt, in the I wish it wasn't this way. You can decide you're going to stay in the this is not the best place and I'm mad about it. Or you can say, well, their loss, I'm still going to win in spite of, and what's in front of me is better and ultimately meant for me. Remember, even if it doesn't feel good, doesn't mean it's not good for you, because all things work together. So, family, we're hoping this segment was helpful. That while we bring the statistics, we have to make sure we elevate awareness that unemployment is real, it's impacting the globe. So we ought to be sensitive to those who might be experiencing homelessness and hunger. We ought to hold our neighbors up and be kind as the shift is happening. We also want to leave you with hope that it's not over till it's over. And the best is still in front of you. Take hold to it and come on and own this new beginning. We can't wait to celebrate where you're going. Please stay tuned. We've got more coming up in the health front right after this.
Hi, guys. It's Tina Wynn, your host of the podcast, You See Me. I want you guys to stay encouraged, continue to come out and see me, and most importantly, see yourselves. Remember, the only way that you can truly enjoy life is to see other people so that you can enjoy the beauty of seeing yourself. Come join me Saturdays at 4 on the We Empowered Network. Thank you.
Hey everybody, this is Regina Hutt, the wellness practitioner on Empowered Mornings. We'd like to invite you every Wednesday night, 8 p.m., uniquely and gorgeous, to keep your mind locked and loaded on WIN Network.
Welcome back to the Power Up. I'm your host, Tammy. So glad you joined us. The segment coming up is called The Health Front. On the Power Up, we take this opportunity to make sure that we can build and grow so that this body is better. As we live the one we were given, we can maximize life and the quality of life as we move forward with life. However, we want to remain very mindful that there are mental, physical, psychological, behavioral. There are many different ways that our body, our flesh, our organs, the tissues, environmental things that can impact us. Today, we want to share our heart with our brothers and sisters during these summer months who might be experiencing SAD. SAD stands for Seasonal Affective Disorder. We elevate this disorder because there are individuals who might be around you that might not have the ability to articulate clearly what they're feeling. Have you noticed folks who might have the summer blues? Have you noticed individuals that when the sun comes out, they'll do anything to not go to the beach with you or not hang out, or they might have a different state of depression? SAD is very real to many individuals. And what it does is it impacts your body through mental depression. It is a major depressive disorder that affects 5% of Americans during the winter months and another set during the summer months. There are some individuals that when the summertime comes, the depression gets that hard. Some folks just call it the summer blues. We want to educate you that it's so much more than that. And help our individuals, help our family members who might be watching or know someone with some tips on how to still live your best life in the midst of your struggle. See, I'm a living witness that a disease is just a name. I tell everybody, I'm not the face of a disease. I'm the face of victory. Now, I do know what I've been given by medical professionals as what I need to focus on around my health. So I eat differently. I take medications, my vitamins. I'm aware. I learned the pros and cons. Once I got the name of the disease, I started becoming the advocate, y'all. I'm going to be the ambassador and know more about this disease than anybody, because I need not just to be the best me in it, but I need to educate others about how to be the best them. And there are some things that even when we deal with struggles in life, we still have the power to embrace and be best, the best us at the time. So I want to encourage everyone to consider a few things. Some of the main things you want to consider with SAD first is to give yourself permission to embrace the change. Let me help somebody. Oftentimes, we are subject when we don't feel well to the criticism and unsolicited feedback of others. That's a nice way of saying their opinions. First, if you know that you're dealing with SAD, consider getting the help that you need to be the best you possible, and embrace the fact that change happens with life, period. You're not still a toddler learning how to walk. You're not still a teenager, couldn't wait to drive, right? Or worried about that first kiss. And age has a way of helping you learn how to deal with stuff with grace. I also have news for you. Where you are now is going to be totally different than in 10 years and 20 years, 30 years, Gravity has a way of taking over, honey. Your skin will not be the same. Your weight might change. Your eating may change. But it's all okay because it's just part of life. So embrace the change. Summer might not be the best for me, but let me tell you what I can do during those months that can help me still be the best me possible. Once I speak to my healthcare provider, I can consider medications or I can discuss support groups. Peers are something else. Do you know you're not the only one with a disorder? Do you know that even on social media, there are groups where you can connect with others living with the same diagnosis you have, that converse and uplift and even share information? When I dealt with my thyroid disease diagnosis, I immediately started joining some Facebook groups. I needed to find out what this was about from people who had been there. I learned what the effect of some medications or some people, some things to do certain days, stay out in the sun or make sure I'm covered or consider how the rain's going to affect you, know when your voice is going, and these are some teas that help. Oh yeah, I was steady writing. I told y'all I was going to be the advocate for this because it will never take me over. I will always be the best Tami in spite of what else comes my way. I encourage you to consider how you can embrace this moment to be better. Also consider decluttering and reorganizing during those times that the summer is maybe not your month or your season. There are things you can do inside the house just to be as amazing. If you're not a beach goer, okay. And there are things you are that you should enjoy, honey. You don't have to go to the beach to enjoy life. There are things you can do in the winter months, you can do in the summer months, and vice versa for my folks who deal with sad in the winter time. The holidays is a very big trigger for many people where depression is very real. But you can't stop Thanksgiving and Christmas and Hanukkah and Rosh Hashanah and all those different holidays that might trigger you because you're missing family members. You're missing those wonderful memories. What you can do is find a way to embrace it and then put an action to it so that it becomes a brand new memory, a brand new way to live. If you're dealing with this during the summertime, you can reorganize your house. Why not buy some new bookshelves? Consider changing your bedroom around. Why not start your own garden inside the house? Come on, somebody. I'm talking about tips and answers and problem solving. But living your best life is not limited to what other people say you have to do. This segment was designed to educate family who might have never heard of SAD before. You may have never heard of seasonal affective disorder. We hope you are educated today. Here, that's what our goal is at the Power Up, to make sure you're equipped and empowered. If you are living with any disorder or disease where you've received a diagnosis from a medical professional, learn how to allow yourself to say, I'm still amazing. In spite of. What this does do, however, is make me stand up, rise up, and show up to find a new way to do things that maybe I couldn't do before. When you get to your 80s, you might not be able to do things the way you could before. Doesn't mean you can't be as amazing 80. Come on, I share stories all the time about how there are 100-year-olds competing in the Senior Olympics. Why not? The limits you put on you are what you allow yourself to live in. See, a lot of times individuals think that a diagnosis is a limit. I would challenge that and say a diagnosis is just information. See, because you didn't tell me that I was feeling these things. What you did was give me a name for what they might be called. I know what I'm feeling. I was feeling it before I came and saw the doctor to tell him what I was feeling. What I want to know is what you call it, what this is, and hear your expert opinion and how to live with it and even beat it, because some diagnoses are reversible. Come on, diabetes. That is not a death wish. Hypertension, not a death wish. There are many diseases that are reversible. There are many that can go into remission. That means that you get to a point where you're taking such good care of your health where you don't need the medications anymore. Those levels in your blood work have gone all the way down where you're living and sustaining life without needing treatment. I have a friend who's been living with HIV for years, 20 plus years on medication, recently received that message from his doctor. Because you're in the gym, because you're doing everything you can to live well, you've changed your eating, you lost weight, you're doing everything that you could possibly do to be you, and you're happy, you're making sure your endorphins, you're surrounded by positivity, you're now in remission. I don't need to see you but once a year just as a checkup. Come on, somebody. Let me tell you, that made me run when I heard that news. So don't think that any disorder or disease is a death sentence. Take it as information to make you powerful, to make you more enriched, elevated, educated, increased. Come on, somebody, I am enough. Watch me win. Write it down and put it on your mirror where you see it every day when you're brushing your teeth. See, I'm a lupus warrior, but I'm not a victim. What I am is powerful in whatever God decides he wants to allow me to walk in. What I am is someone that's going to show that there's greatness in the midst of whatever God decides he wants me to walk in. I'll share this before we go to our next break. I was in intensive care for a week on my back, looking at the ceiling, where nurses came in at will, draw blood, poke you, just you take it, have no choice. Many family members who dealt with COVID and were on ventilators. I have a girlfriend who was on a ventilator for 28 days. So there are times in life when you're in positions where you don't have a choice. But can I tell you, when I got up from that, I was more determined than ever that I was going to live out loud and on purpose, because it's not the name of the disease that's the issue. It doesn't own me. It's the power that I have to be great in spite of it. So we hope that this information about SAD, acknowledging our family members who deal with seasonal affective disorder, may have equipped someone with new information. Remember, being kind goes a long way. Being courteous and respectful to things you don't understand might make a difference to someone else. And it's not always about money. Sometimes it's just being nice. Family, as we go to our break, we're going to move forward and we're going to tap into some more information that can help educate and equip you so that you can impact the people around you and ultimately be the best possible. So stay tuned, because there's more after this.
Good morning. Marshall Weeks here with you on Financial Friday. Ecclesiastes 3:1 states, "There's a time for everything and a season for every activity." So how does this relate to our money? Do we recognize the season we're in financially speaking? We may be in the season of building a budget, building an emergency fund, building our savings. We may be in a season of planting, investing monthly to reap a harvest in retirement, building a business, or sowing the seeds for promotion. We could be in a season of uprooting and removal, examining our spending, removing expenses that are not a priority, or removing ourselves from environments that do not support our financial goals. It is important to know where we are right now and to recognize what season we're in so we can be on time for what God is trying to do in our lives. So we need to recognize where we are financially and make sure we are taking the proper actions so we don't miss out on our time to reap the harvest. You've been empowered because you should prosper.
Welcome back, family, to the Power Up. So glad you're joining us and tuned in today for some vital information. We're now going to go into our career exploration segment. We often get questions from viewers who are seeking advice or guidance on how to better themselves, how they can deal with increasing their professionalism or professional development. We're glad that you submitted questions to us. One of them from a viewer said, I don't seem to connect with individuals around me. What do I need to do to actually impact? Can I tell you that I love that question because it acknowledges that this individual wants to be more. Impact is not something you just do by yourself. It means that you want to have a connection or see some kind of result from partnerships. So thank you, viewer, for submitting that question. Here's a few things to think of. Professional presence is important. Now, there's a difference in presence and arrogance. So I want to be clear. Arrogance is someone who, in their mind, has, in slang terms, arrived. Someone who feels that individuals are below them, that Napoleon complex, right? I know nobody watching necessarily knows those individuals. Arrogance, totally different than presence, means that you owe me something. It's not that I, in turn, need to even share. I am at a level where I can look down on you. And sadly, teams follow the leaders and feel vibes from those that are their leader. Professional presence is everything when you want to impact. Back to my viewer's question. Because you have a choice. You can create followers or create leaders. And a true leader will always empower others to lead. Come on and write that down. A true leader will always empower others to lead. So often consider the folks that you're following first off. Those who are in your network, those who you're connected to. Are you in a place where you feel like part of a value team? Where your voice matters. That's when you know whether there's presence. Your presence is oftentimes something that others will feel and vibe from before you say a word. You ever had someone walk in a room and you just notice them? I mean, they're all the way over there. You haven't had conversation number one yet, but wow. Or how about someone that you've been to a conference and you've heard them as a speaker and it left you with the, man, I want to do that. I want to be like that. I know I have. How many times have you been in a room where the room was flat Everybody was on their phone, no one making eye contact, looking at each other. The power of presence can help answer your question. You impact individuals by leaving a response, by gaining a response, pardon me. So if you want to get something back from someone, you have to initiate it. Just like I tell my introverts, it's not that you have to be an extrovert, but communication is everything. Consider body language, for example. If I spoke in a way that made you feel offended, would you ever want to hear me speak again? Wouldn't you come into our next conversation going, oh, I really don't want to be around them? There are individuals who have a way, sadly, because they lack communication skills, to leave you in a deficit once you've had a conversation with them. I mean, hurt, bleeding. Like I could have gone my whole life and never had that conversation and had a good day. What you want to do is be the difference. So in your career, whether it's in your workspace, or maybe you're having those type of contractor conversations, maybe it's meeting someone for coffee to share a contract, whatever your role is, maybe you're the one who has to order supplies. How you handle that is what makes the difference. Throughout my career, I have learned the power of being nice. I'm going to share this. I actually was given a job for someone who was fired because she wasn't nice. I'll never forget it. I was a term employee about to be laid off. Come down to the last of my 30 days. They told me, sorry, we can't do anything for you. Pack up your pictures, everything. And I was like, okay, well, time to look for a new job. Did my good stuff here. Can I have a letter of reference? Did everything I needed. And at the last few days, they fired the other young lady. And I thought, wow, oh my gosh, I didn't even notice her. So, and then they came to me and said, we have a vacancy we want you to fill. Because ultimately, a true executive is trying to retain a good relationship with all the money that's out there. So why wouldn't you build a team of great people? It's the same with why folks prefer to go to Chick-fil-A even though it's not open on Sundays. It's only open 6 days a week. Customer service is everything. Starbucks, they're going to make your drink with as much sugar and fluff and sprinkles and, right? How you cater to people, how people leave is the difference. So your impact becomes your exchange so that when people leave, they feel differently. It was Maya Angelou who said, the amazing poet, people might not remember what you say, but they'll always remember how you made them feel. That's in any profession. You ever left a doctor's office and you just felt so low? Or you left a conversation with a preacher or with anybody. You left a grocery store line and the checkout clerk had a bad attitude. What I commission you to do is consider your presence. And let's take it a little bit further. Your body language, your confidence, because everything that you believe in you is what gets displayed. Come on, family. Your confidence. Now, confidence isn't knowledge. So you might not necessarily know everything, but who does? Oh, I'm the biggest proponent on YouTube University. Let me tell you. I'll Google something with the quickness. There's a lot of terms out there. There's acronyms. I'm not tech savvy. I'm not medical savvy. I'm in my lane. I'm an expert on these things. Many, but not everything. Nobody knows everything. It's not possible. But can I tell you, you don't need to know it all. You connect yourself with people who know more than you, including your friends. Come on, upgrade season. Learn how listening is really important. Listening means, come on, because if you're talking, saying, yeah, I know, yeah, you're right, yeah, you're not really. And sometimes giving space to someone without comment can be one of the most respectful feelings you'll ever get, especially if you're a supervisor, because they feel valued, that you just blocked 15 minutes of your time for them to just be. And they didn't feel rushed, they felt appreciated. There's impact. Consider when you're articulating, when you're communicating, keeping your message very brief and direct. Not rude, but being very informative and specific. In other words, you're not like a know-it-all. You don't have to comment on everybody's everything. And you're valued because people feel like she knows her stuff. All I did was come in and drop a tip or two and kept right on moving. Individuals oftentimes only have a little bit of opportunity window to get what you have because we've got 1,000 other things going on. So my impact, for example, is, ma'am, here's the information you were looking for. There's 2 key points. I've highlighted them for you, but also know that there's a call coming this afternoon I want to remind you of. This is the person who'll be calling. If you want it, and then get on the calendar 10 minutes before. And you do whatever you have to do, because that's the difference. I just helped my boss or whoever I was working with get ready for something major. So the presence that I went in was with confidence, specificity, and clarity. You also want to learn how to think before you speak. Ooh, come on, impact. Told you, I love that you asked that question. Because individuals are now going to leave with what you say or what you don't say. So consider the message. There's a scripture in the Bible, proverb, that says, even a fool seems wise in silence. So if I'm sitting like this at the end of the board table and I don't say a word, you're only going to go from what you see. I might not know a thing folks are talking about. Most individuals who accompany me on trips or when I go to conferences know that I carry my journal everywhere, and I'm always writing. I'm always taking notes, because usually somebody's sharing a resource. Have you noticed that on this website it has such and such? I'm writing that down. Have you noticed that this tool incorporates such and such? Writing that down. I met this lady up the street and I'm writing her name down. Gonna Google her later to find out what she's about. There's always opportunity for you to be a resource and leave people wanting more. But the difference starts with you being the most amazing you, because the world wants you. You just have to go forth with confidence. We love when viewers send us questions. We hope that information was helpful. Your body language is important. Your confidence is important. Respecting others and that space, grace for space, is everything. And remembering that if there is information, how you communicate it with your ears, with your body language, and ultimately with your message are just as important. Sometimes people leave just because they were with you in the room thinking, I'm just glad you were there. I didn't really have anything to say. Thank you for just being there. And then there are others where they just need to get it out without judgment. Okay? Confidential. Just open. Just because I'm human and I need a minute. The question I would pose to my viewer is, what kind of impact do you want to have? Ooh, that's for another segment. But we hope that this at least helped with a few tips on how you can make a difference in your career. Family, we're not finished. There's more to come as we go into our wrap up. So stay tuned.
Life has its way of being sweet, and life has its way of being spicy.
You did not have to hit me there.
Girl, I did not hit you that hard.
Anywho, life has its way of being hard, and life has its way of being easy. Join us every second Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time,
8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time
at the We Empower Network. Tune in to the Sweet
and Spicy
Podcast. Hope to see you there.
Bye.
Welcome back, family, to the Power Up. The host, Tami Thomas, excited to have you with me. I want to give a great shout out to the Power Up team, amazing producers and staff who come together weekly to make sure to bring valuable information so that you leave equipped and educated, empowered, ready to elevate. We started our show today by sharing reality that unemployment still exists globally as well as nationally. But not just the fact that you have statistics on where we are, but also tips on how to live and refocus and move forward, how to propel yourself into the job you really want, the career you've dreamed of. Yes, you might have been an accountant for years. Has that been making you happy? Would you like to be an accountant for the education system or for the medical system? There are hospitals, medical facilities. If you've ever wanted to, why not? Now is the best time. You've got no barriers in front of you to go and be what you always wanted to be. While it's hard, don't stay there. It's temporary. You're not going to be unemployed forever because you still got to eat. You still have a life you want to live and be the best you possible. So while you're in this moment, let's go with being refocused and embrace the new. We also shared for our family who might be living with the seasonal affective disorder, how much we care, how much we love you, how much your disease or disorder is as important as any other one. There are some individuals who may have never heard of SAD before. So we're honored to be able to elevate that information because that's all it is. It's information, not a death sentence. Family, knowledge is power. So now that you know about it, you can decide if you want to talk to that family member, maybe the family member's medical professional. Find out what you can do to help not just you be better, but those in your care. SAD is very real. And every individual, regardless of what you know and don't know, deserves the same respect and love. We also talked about career explorations and how to answer one of our viewers' questions about impacting in her workplace. Body language being everything, communication being key, and understanding that you don't have to be everything to everybody. You just got to be the best you. So as we go into this wrap up this day with a very heavy heart, I want to give this tribute to my dad. My dad, who transitioned a few days ago, was my Superman. I appreciate the Power Up team for giving me these last few moments to honor him in my work, because this is important, not just to me, because I celebrate his life, but to all of us who are in different places where it's hard. I wanted to take this opportunity to encourage those who are feeling loss, who might not just be in a place of mourning, but in a difficult place in general. People oftentimes aren't nice, but you got to keep going. Situations oftentimes are horrible. Nobody planned on a pandemic. Nobody planned on having to bury thousands and millions There was a mass grave in Detroit because they were losing folks at that type of rate where they couldn't store them to be able to connect with their family to have funerals. Can you imagine? With this short life that we have obligations to each other and to ourselves. My dad was one of those powerful, honorable veterans. He proudly served this country in the Navy and wore his veteran and Navy hat everywhere he went with pride. It wasn't because he felt like he didn't understand what it was about. It was because he understood what it was about. It was about dignity and honor and respect. Oftentimes we struggle through life, and because it hurts, we stay there. We get stuck, and all we do is wallow and cry and wallow and cry. And when I spoke to the producer of this network and told her I wanted to keep going with what God gave me as a work, she didn't question. She said, we got you. And it's important to surround yourself with people, whether they understand or not, that still push you to be the best you, even when it's hard. My dad was an individual who was a proud family man. My dad also experienced racism and told us many stories about how he was the only Black man in different places and they treated him badly. How he had to go back to school to get certain certificates just to be able to get the job promotion that others were getting with no problem. How he had to even train white people to take the job he wanted or was already prepared to have. We all know that racism isn't new. We all know biases are not new. Prejudices are not new. However, one thing my dad made sure to let us all know is we are the difference. We can take it, or you can figure out how you're going to change it, how you're going to address it, how you're going to be better, and how you're going to help someone else. My dad was also a fighter. Ooh, help me now. He was a fighter till the end and proud in every way. And I learned from him that pride is something that can be very honorable when it's put in the right place, right? When you're proud of an accomplishment. He would always say talk about his family and his kids and his grandkids and his great-grands, and just with pride, saw it come on his face. In the hard times of his later days, he still spoke of that pride. That smile would still come on his face because it was real and authentic for him. Tami, why are you telling us all of this? Well, first, because he's my dad, and I'm just honored to even be able to say that I belong to James Hill Sr. But I also want to leave this message for you today. Find out what your why is. Identify that no matter hell or high water is what they used to say. I think back in the day, Dad used to say, if the creek don't rise, he was country. That no matter what is in your way, no matter what you experience, this is my why. I have to keep going. This is the reason I can't stop. Your children, your love for life, your pets, family members that might need you. My auntie, I got to check on her tomorrow. I can't quit now. Are you a community voice? I'm a coach for these boys. They need me. They need to see a strong man. Many of them don't have a dad at home. What is your reason? Is why we wanted to share this with you today. I'm going to lay my dad to rest. We're going to celebrate his life. After a few minutes, I may not be this poised, but it's still going to be with pride. Family, you have an opportunity every time you have breath to decide what you're going to do. Am I going to exist, or am I going to live out loud and on purpose? Make today your decision, so that when folks talk about that dash in the middle of your birth date and transition date, they can talk about all the greatness. Man, did you know he? Did you know she? Because it'll all be memories by then. So while you're dealing with right now, remember that right now will soon be a yesterday, and tomorrow will soon be this moment. So maximize this moment to be as big as you want it to be, as wonderful as you want it to be, as peaceful, as precious as you want it to be. Because it's ultimately about you being the best you possible. Because once again, when you're the best you're the best mom, dad, brother, sister, co-worker, neighbor, parishioner, coach, Bible study teacher, book club starter, but on the bike, go walk the walk trail. Whatever you do, you're going to bump into somebody else, even if it's just in the grocery store line. How about use that moment to uplift that cashier? You don't know the day they had. She might have a bad attitude because somebody just gave her attitude. You'd be surprised how just your breathe, honey. How you doing? Thank you for helping me today. Might totally deflate somebody's. Might totally bring elevation to somebody. How about bringing awareness to somebody? Sometimes folk don't even know they're giving it because they're in it. Family, James Hill Sr., one of the best people walking the planet. And I want you to know this: whatever tomorrow holds, I'm so grateful for all of my yesterdays. Whatever your tomorrow holds, make it important, because it will soon be your memories. So how about go ahead and plan that trip? Why not? Go ahead and start authoring that book. Why not? Come on. Go ahead and decide, I'm joining the Civic Association. I'm really sick and tired of all these speed cameras in my neighborhood. And come on, somebody, why not? And whatever you do, understand the value you bring to society, the value you bring to life will ultimately be what you're remembered by and will still impact others generations to come. No more existing. Make the decision to live, and live starting right now, and do it with intent and with purpose, and go ahead and be the best you. Go be great, because greater is ahead. It's just waiting for you to go to it. Seize the moment and decide you're going to do it right now more than ever. Family, we hope today's segment was helpful. We hope it was educational. We hope that in it all, you learned a little something about the individuals around you. That whether unemployment, dealing with disease, having to deal with folks on the job, whatever the situation, that even in darkness, confusion, all stuff, you are still the light of the world. And I'll tell you this, you're the one that might be there to bring the peace to the storm, to settle the confusion. You might be the one that's in it to be the difference. Family, we hope this Power Up segment was a blessing. We hope it was helpful. We hope it was educational. We hope it equipped you, elevated you, and encouraged you to just keep going and tap into the power within. Go be great. We'll see you next time.